It's rather believed by most observers of the quantum theory and many other ways that you could travel through time, many time travel experts, that you would have to travel the speed of light to go backwards, or not backwards, maybe forwards in time. Because they say when you travel at the speed of light that you will not age and everything around you will, which perpetually will make you, it'll travel you into the future possibly. But here are the things that they say. Travel faster than the speed of light, which as a human would require a machine. Yeah, you would have to have a machine. Okay. Sufficient amount of energy and momentum is needed to break the light barrier so-called as, like the sound barrier. But the light barrier is very difficult to break. Einstein actually theorized that it is impossible to break because he believes that as soon as you travel the speed of light, you become light and you're not, it doesn't really work, is what his theory was. Now, last but not least, I believe that just like almost everything in this world has a wave, like a wavelength. Maybe a pulse of your heartbeat, everything that you have is a wavelength. Sound is a wavelength. And I'm thinking that time itself is a wavelength. Now, with this wavelength, every wave almost has some kind of medium that they can travel to be amplified or compressed. Now, with sound, you may know this as an amp. You can create certain ring structures to boost the sound quality or create certain structures that will insulate the walls and take sound from the area around you. Now, with light waves, a lot of the time we can use light waves to enhance the concentration of light in a certain area. Say, magnifying glass, for example, when you burn an ant or anything else with a magnifying glass through the sun. Now, my very own viewing of time is not exactly linear like most people theorize it to be. Actually, most scientists in the communities in our modern day's 21st century believe that time is not linear, but rather branches. Like, imagine branches on a tree. Imagine the main trunk part, what we originally thought to be, as being a straight line almost. Now imagine the branches coming out, those are separate timelines. What most people believe will happen is that after every event that happens, an alternate universe is created where it didn't happen, or it happened a different way. It may be confusing to think about it that way, but think of it as a sandbox. Now, my sandbox theory is that each time you travel backwards or forward through time, you will have traveled to another reality and cannot return to your own. Say that you went forward in time and... hang on. Now, that wouldn't be a very good analogy. Say you went backwards in time and you changed one event. You stepped on a butterfly. You traveled forward. Let's say, that's actually not a good example either. Butterfly effect, yeah. There's a butterfly effect, yes, but say that you went back in time and accidentally hit your father or grandfather or anybody related to you with a car. You're saying that you might not exist, right? Wrong, in my opinion, actually. Since you went back in time in the first place, that would have created a different timeline. And when you went back into that timeline, you may have killed your father, but that wasn't your father, it was an alternate universe father. Now, that's kind of complicated to think about. But think, here you are in the original timeline. Now you go back, here you are in a different one. The one over here is still intact, but the one back here is being manipulated. You are from the original timeline, and you're traveling to the different one. You kill your father, go forwards in time, you're still there. You're from the original, or not maybe original universe, as some believe we are in alternate, but you are still alive because from the universe you came from, you did not kill your father, and your father birthed you. But in the universe that you're in, he never birthed you, and yes, it's complicated, but might theorize that you also cannot go back to your original timeline, unless, see, I theorize if you go backwards to the point where you killed your father, you wouldn't see yourself. It causes almost a paradox. But, alright, now, my theory on how to create a time machine. A time machine would be the most complex device since every invention ever made. The idea of engineering a device to travel through time might have been even around since our early ancestors, the idea to roam and travel throughout timelines. Now I know what most of you may be thinking, is the idea of making a time machine possible, and if it is, why hasn't anyone created one yet? Well, that is because some of the barriers they may have put in time, or science may have put up for us. To spend time, we would have to somewhat warp the laws of physics by traveling faster than the speed of light, which Einstein theorized would not be possible. Now, however, a theory proposed by my dearest brother and I is not simply a singular object moving faster than the speed of light, but the things around that object. If you can get all the objects around to vibrate at such an intensity that they are breaking the light barrier, you could possibly travel forwards. Because if those are traveling at the speed of light, then they are not aging, but you are at a rapid rate more than them. Now, if you were to do that, you would travel forwards in time. But how do we get an inanimate object to move faster than the speed of light? My theory for time machine is using a rapid succession of sound waves. Now, I know what most people would be saying right now. Jacob, the speed of sound has already been broken, and sound cannot really go faster much than what it is. But that brings me to my earlier point. Amplifiers. If you can compress the sound wave so tightly together as it coils that nobody hears it, not even the slightest animal, if it goes so quickly, you must try to get the sound wave itself to go faster, and it will vibrate everything around it at the speed of light. Now I know that, again, may seem impossible, but maybe it already has been done. Now, it'd have to vibrate at the right frequency to all the particles in the room, quicker than our only very speed of light, but see, the problem with that is that everything has its own natural frequency, and it's complicated to change that frequency. Another problem is building a powerful enough speaker. Now, this is where I bring my next point. There has been theories saying that if you were to go into a black hole is sucking time itself almost into it, and it's pulling light and everything around it. That is another way to travel forwards. So far, I haven't found anything to travel backwards. Now, a giant vortex of gravitational force so powerful, light cannot escape, is a black hole. There's many things that aren't very safe about that if we were to use black holes as time travel. Now, if you were to be thrown into the black hole, you would almost be turned into a pile of spaghetti. The gravitational fields are in almost two different directions. They would pull you apart until you were tiny little dust particles, and even pull those apart. So, maybe black holes aren't the best idea. These are the theories that I have so far on time travel. If anybody could let me know what their possible theories are, let me know in the comments below, or maybe just reply with a video. Thank you, YouTube, for your time.